when Disclosure Day came out, you guys saw me go through this sort of UFO kick that I'm still technically on. I have videos that I actually haven't edited of more UFO films. But I digress. I went through a little UFO kick. And in that UFO kick, I watched a film called The Vast of Night. Okay? And if you guys remember, I was pretty high on that movie. Like, I was like just swearing up and down that it was like, as I do when I'm excited, the next best thing, right? Indie movie, like up and coming director. This is his debut. Please watch out for him. That movie was awesome. Like, the fact that it just kind of disappeared in the vastness of Amazon Prime is really disappointing, because that was a great indie debut. Fast forward a couple months, and you guys may have heard of a movie called The Rivals of AmziahKing, and it stars Matthew McConaughey, the McConaughey himself, and it's about a man who is a beekeeper, and he lives in the most rural of rural areas of Oklahoma. All right, he has this little bluegrass band as local that everyone loves to hear play, but his job is that he is a beekeeper. All right, he extracts honey, and he has a big reason why this Oklahoma town has a booming business of honey. In fact, this shit is so booming, and it's such a big market in Oklahoma, that there are rivals, okay? There are other groups of people who also have their honey extraction factories, right? They keep bees. This is like a whole industry. It's incredible. Just how much insight I gathered on something that I didn't really acknowledge being that big, right? And the magic of film, once again, is that it introduces you to concepts, lifestyles, and characters that maybe you haven't been exposed to. And in this film, there is a huge rivalry between farms, extracting honey, who sells the honey, who makes this industry boom in Oklahoma. And then there are the big head honchos, played by Kurt Russell, whose beekeeping and honey extraction business goes further than Oklahoma. And this movie becomes what starts out as an incredibly written, I mean, just high marks. Within seconds, within minutes of this movie, you are in love with every character. You are in love with the dialogue. Like, it hits you in the face just how good the writing is, that you just immediately believe this world. Now, the big hook here is that someone steals Matthew McConaughey's bees. And that, of course, creates the plot. That is the reason that we're here. This movie is one part dramedy, another part character piece, another part crime thriller, and where I can see people maybe saying that it feels disjointed. The reason this movie feels so beautiful, so unique, so perfectly composed is because it has all of these elements in one movie, and it doesn't fail at a single one. McConaughey's character is written for him. Like, it is absolutely the epitome of what we know McConaughey does well. Now, he's got a pretty spectacular IMDb, minus all of the really bad PG-13 romance comedies of the 2000s. But nonetheless, the man knows how to pick a project. You know, obviously one of his greatest ones, one of the greatest performances, I think, is True Detectives. He was incredible in that. But here, it was so informed by him and what we know of him from interviews and his persona. And it was such a perfect role, almost akin to that of the role from True Detectives. He really sells this small town sort of local celebrity, right? Where he touches the hearts and souls of every person in this town. He's fostered a few kids in his past. He has no problem. He is a person that gives and gives and gives and doesn't expect anything in return. But it's because of that genuineness, that kindness, that everyone around him gravitates to him. And it's because of that and his character that the metaphor of bees really kicks in. right? He is essentially the queen bee, right? There's a whole part in this movie where we're dissecting bees, and it's very much a metaphor for small country communities. Between the character study, between the comedy, my God, did I fucking laugh. I've not laughed this hard in a movie in years. And the comedy here worked for me on so many levels because it is so human, so realized, so perfectly timed. I laughed out loud. I chuckled. There's a character who is so country that he just gargles. You don't know what the fuck he's saying. And it's perfectly keyed into moments in the writing where you need it. Matthew McConaughey's character is hilarious just upon charm. Not because he's trying to be funny, but because his charm is so easygoing that you wonder, how the fuck did you come up with that comeback immediately? That fast talking character that is just so ingrained in his world and in his culture that you every line is worth listening to because you can dissect from what he's saying parts of the world and parts of the people. And it's hilarious. Like, I fucking cracked up. There is an entire sequence in this involving a school bus that if you see it, you will understand. But this isn't just a comedy. This isn't just a dramedy, okay? Because there's a lot of drama here. I mean, this is a drama first. And the drama is about... And this movie works in parts, right? Because we have the comedy, we have the drama, and then we have the crime thriller part of this movie. But before I get to that, the drama, right? It's ingrained in all of these characters, right? One of the main characters of this film is his estranged foster child, who is now grown up and has come back to town. And she becomes a big part of the story. She comes back to him. They rekindle their relationship. But what's incredible is that Matthew McConaughey has like an ability to like suck the gravity out of a room, meaning that he is so good, he is the focal point. But everyone here is equally as good, that it's hard not to be mesmerized by every single character. This is so bluegrass, and it made me nostalgic for a memory that I don't have, and that's such a rare thing to get from a movie. Right, it's such a rarity to watch a movie as anything else other than the movie. Rarely do you get that sense that it is molded, and like this movie exists not in the realm of filmmaking, but it exists as this entity that is a direct manifestation of real life places and real life people. And this movie just feels so worn, like a second skin. Like my man was wearing this script on his face, just absorbing the letters and then throwing it out on the camera. This movie is as much about the characters and the crime as it is a musical, and not in the, hey, we're going to fucking just randomly go into a music number and dance. No, none of that. But it's a big part that, you know, he does so much for the community, but all he asks is that people sing with him. And there are these songs, dude. There are these fucking songs that immediately, I don't take out my phone, but I was Shazamming them so that I could have them on the way back home. The music here is incredible. It's impactful. It's so, like, just so certain, you know, and it plays. And it's not like, oh, they wrote this for a movie. I mean, this feels like a band. This feels like a well-established band in this local community because the music is so incredible, and I immediately is going in my fucking road trip playlist. I have a playlist on my music thing, and it's The Road Beckons, and I have like indie rock or folk music. This entire album in that playlist, like, it is phenomenal. Halfway through the movie, you then realize we haven't kicked into the real story here. The real story kicks in about halfway through. And so much happens that doesn't feel rushed, but feels purposeful because of the first hour. The second half of this movie exists and is as impactful as it is because the first hour is so immaculate. Now, I can see people saying, oh, the first half is better than the second. But that's a testament to how good the setup is, that the first half is so impactful that when things happen in the second one, the after effects, the cause and effect is there, and it feels hard to breathe in moments where bad things happen. when this movie kicks into high gear in terms of its crime thriller elements, there are elements of noir, sort of this sort of detective noir thriller, which is, again, if you know anything about me and small town movies, I fucking slurp them up. I love small town thrillers. I love small town modern westerns. Like, small town thrillers, there's just something nostalgic about a small town and secrets being buried, or bad people sort of pretending to mimic good people in small towns to take advantage of the vulnerabilities that come with it, with the culture and the people knowing each other. There's just something incredibly creepy and eerie and pronounced about that kind of storytelling. And this is a small town in Oklahoma, and it feels at times like a modern Western with indigenous accents through it. And then it also feels like a noir detective story in the country. You know, typically when you hear noir, you think alleyways, deep blues, cold colors, the city, but not here. Not here. It takes so many things, and it takes so many risks, and every risk, in my opinion, completely pays off, because this is a thrilling, absolutely thrilling mystery crime thriller in the latter half, just as much as it was an exquisitely fabricated character piece, comedy, drama film at the beginning. And it makes you nostalgic for a world that maybe you've never been exposed to, or a world that you're watching on the screen going like, man, I want to go back there, but you've never been, right? And it's the power of like filmmaking and forgetting you're watching a script being realized, right? Like when a movie makes you forget that it's a script and you're watching something so lived in, where the characters don't feel written. Like you could turn off the movie and believe that these characters would exist with more shit to tell you when you turn the TV back on. There is a well-worn feeling to this movie, and the metaphor might be lost on some people, depending on what you're getting, what you want from this film. But I mean, I saw the trailer the first time, and I was like, whatever this is, I want it. And the trailer doesn't paint exactly what it is. Yet when you go and watch it, those expectations were perfectly set. And you get even more than I got more than what I expected to get. And this movie both made me feel pleasant and joyful, but it also put a knot in my stomach and made my eyes water and made me feel something akin to what I would feel if I made a movie for the first time. And this is a sophomore movie. This movie does not feel like a sophomore movie at all. But what I mean like that is like, you watch movies as a creative and then you go like, even if it's not the type of genre that I want to make, you go like, someone made that. Like if someone were to die on their deathbed, they would probably look at that film and be like, I'm glad that's the last thing I made. And this is going to be one of those sleeper hits of the year. A lot of people might go back to this later on and go, why didn't I get more and more? Why didn't get more? And I'm here to tell you, give it that more now, because it's something that is unique. It's something that has been lacking. And in the theater, my God, yes, this could have easily been thrown on Paramount Plus, Apple, you know, these big fucking movies that are now coming out on these streaming service, but with a big name, but still contained in story. They tend to throw those movies on streaming. And I gotta tell you, I'm so happy this is in theaters. Like, this deserves to be experienced in a theater full of people. There's an incredible, there's a character who's a veteran there, who's there for like 20 minutes and has an incredible story. The supporting cast, there's enough there to like go, wow, whenever they're on screen, you're not feeling like you're missing out on other characters. You know, when you have a large ensemble cast, maybe you felt this, but you get FOMO, right? Like, I'm focusing on this character too much. Take me back to this. Every character here felt so realized and so consequential that I was just like, yeah, more. And the steady buildup and the tension and where this racks up sort of in terms of the second act, this sort of Western noir, small country thriller, how it builds up to that, where it's at when it gets there. The things that happen are also unbelievable, and some would say maybe a little bit not over the top, but in terms of characters and the reaction, maybe the reaction was too volatile. But if you listen to the metaphor of the story and you listen to what it's trying to tell you with the allegories of bees. It's all about not tarnishing small communities for the sort of grander ambition that we all feel we have. We all kind of dream and fantasize of these big futures for ourselves, these grandiose things. But these people, when you watch them, part of the joy of watching this movie is that the ambitions are perfectly set. They're happy with community, and it's not this shallow sense of oorah community kind of bullshit. It's this real sense of like, I know Margaret across the street, you know, I know Sally down the block, I know Henry just behind me, you know. There's a sense of community where all these people have each other's back in such a way that it creates these story plots and these story moments where in any other movie, the cops would come in, sirens would wail, and they would act as policemen. No, but part of Matthew McConaughey's character's group of friends, one of them is the sheriff, and it's hilarious to see that dynamic when things go down, how Matthew and him communicate. But there is this incredible, deeply ingrained sense of community that modern society has completely lost unless you live in these local small towns where the ambition is I have a honey extraction company. I keep bees, and at night I go to the restaurant or the bar or the local pub and I play bluegrass and everyone knows my name and they feel so complete and you know, I don't think I saw a single fucking phone in the movie and in the theater. Maybe I think there was a burner phone. That's it. But the fact that we're in a movie and there's not a cell phone in sight, the fact that our minds are so fucking techno-rotted that if you just don't put a phone in a movie, you immediately notice it, did so much to make this movie feel self-contained in its local plot threads or story threads. Like, it was just so well realized. I felt the same way in terms of when I watched his first film, The Vast of Night. I immediately said, man, I want to write something. You know, while writing a script at that same moment, I was like, I need to go back to writing it, or I need to write something new. And then watching this movie again and watching and feeling the same way. This man's 2 for 2, you know, and I am just really happy for him because his debut movie felt like a debut film because it was indie. You could tell, but it was so perfectly homed in as you're watching it that you're like, yeah, can't wait what you do next. And then he comes out with this, and the sophomore film doesn't feel like a sophomore film. I didn't even know it was him until after I researched the movie. And I'm just, yeah, dude, I know I sound high as fuck on this movie, and I really, truly am. I watched this yesterday, last night, and I wanted to sit on it because I was like, you're feeling really touched by the movie. And the feeling has washed over me again, and this could be a personal movie for many people. If you like sort of genre mesh, you know, a varied mesh of genres. For me, like coming from being a veteran and going on a lot of road trips in my life to kind of help synchronize myself to my needs and to my present, I've come across a lot of small town people. And I remember as a kid growing up, not knowing shit about the world and going like, I want to live in the big city. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then, of course, I went to the military and I went through that part of my life. And then I, you know, left, didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. My brain was a mess. Tried to figure out what I was going to do after. And taking all these trips and taking all these risks and meeting all these people and seeing all these new places to find myself. The irony is that when you're a kid, you think finding yourself is in these big, bombastic places. And when you're an adult, finding yourself becomes going to smaller places where the ambition isn't what you thought they should have been. And the community looks completely different than what you thought it should be like. And this town feels like a road trip. It feels like a road trip that I want to take again and again. I came hot off the heels of The Empty Man, and that's another movie that made me feel this sort of sense of that's film, you know. And then to watch this movie close to it and go like, this feels on the other side of the spectrum, this feels human, right? And in 1 month I've watched two films that have like in a lot of ways touched me on a creative level, on a sentimental and emotional level, on a personable level, and just on a creative wavelength. I feel really lucky. You know, I feel really lucky when I watch these kinds of movies because I feel like I get the best of humanity in these 2 hours. When you feel it, you chase it, right? With every movie, you chase it. And you hope every movie hits like that. And some don't, and some do, and some are just fun, and some are just films, and some are just a good time. But you chase these feelings, you know, and this was just a really, really wonderful time. So that's to say, if you have time, go support this movie. Watch it, please. It may not be your type of genre, but it might surprise you. And if you're open to anything, this might be one of your favorite movies this year. That's my review for The Rivals of Amziah King. I am gonna watch Insidious Out of the Further tonight, so expect that review here soon in the next day or two. But that's it, man. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for the kind words in the last video. I'm gonna fuck off now. I'll see you guys at the movies.